VIFAL. You are now listening to the VIFAL podcast, where we talk about
visual impairment,
inclusion,
fashion,
accessibility,
and lifestyle.
Hi VFam, it's me again, Bev, and welcome to the third episode of the VIFAL podcast, a CN Enabling Masterplan special. So for today's episode, we're gonna talk about inclusive employment. So big word, right? So what is it and why is it important to persons with disability? So let's find that out through our guest. So for today's guest, we have Miss Maria Krissy Bisda, or also known as Krissy. She is also a person with visual impairment. She's a graduate of psychology from the Philippine Women's University and a 3-time awardee of Australia Awards Scholarship, where she got her dual degree on postgraduate diploma on Industrial Relations Management from De La Salle University, Manila, and her master's degree in Human Resource Management from the University of Newcastle. Currently, Krissy is an HR consultant on inclusive employment for persons with disability and a disability technical advisor and social researcher for different government and non-government agencies. She also has her own channel where she produces fun and informative HR-related videos. So, VFam, let's all welcome Miss Krissy. Hi, Krissy! Ayan, welcome back sa VIFAL channel. So, kamusta ka naman?
Hi, Bev! Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening sa lahat ng viewers ng VIFAL na saan man sila naroroon ngayon while watching this episode. Hello, and thank you for inviting me. Kamusta?
Yes, ito, bukod sa maganda pa rin. Ayan, same old me.
Of course! Meron pa bang kakontra doon?
Naman, subukan lang nila. Hindi, joke lang.
Okay. Yeah.
Ayan, so, of course, we're so happy to have you again, Krissy. Yung last time na nag-guest ka sa amin was, so, Do Blind People Think the Same pa, di ba? Ayan, so...
Oo, luma-luma na ako doon. Ako yung luma.
Oo, ikaw yung nasa una naming video, di ba, before? Yung una-una naming episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, today, very exciting yung topic natin kasi I'm sure na lahat ng mga fellow persons with disabilities na nanonood sa atin and of course, yung mga nasa non-disabled people ay makaka-relate din dito. So, today, pag-uusapan natin is all about inclusive employment na I'm sure, based pa lang sa intro mo kanina na lahat na ng superlative, very passionate ka about this advocacy.
Grabe naman yung very. Parang very masakit na yun. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
thanks.
Yeah. First question, Krissy. So, syempre, nabagit nga sa intro na for 15 years, HR practitioner ka na. So, what prompted you to start this advocacy of inclusive employment?
Well, first of all, I am a person with disability, obviously. But, kasi talagang ang parang nag-push sa akin talaga is, ang dami kong nakikitang sabihin na nating mga work practices or workplace practices na parang, in my personal opinion and professional opinion, parang things doesn't seem right. Parang ganon. Sabi ko, in relation to disability inclusion in the workplace, sabi ko, parang gusto kong mag-reform, gusto kong magkaroon ng change sa nakikita ko. Although, in the earliest part of my career, parang feeling ko hindi ko pa siya magawa totally the way I can do it now. So, I guess, ganun yung naging journey ko towards as an advocate on policy reform, most especially sa inclusive employment for persons with disabilities. And then, with that journey, ang ginawa ko naman, sabi ko, parang feeling ko kulang pa din ako sa sarili ko to really push that reform that I want to do. Kaya nag-aral pa ako further. I guess na-mention naman yun kanina sa generous, very, very generous introduction,
Mhm.
kung saan man ako napadpad, no? Kasi doon nanggagaling yung cost that I carry on my advocacy on inclusive employment. So, feeling ko may kulang pa sa akin kaya I took up masters pa rin in human resource development and management, and then yung diploma course nga din sa Dasal for industrial relations management. Kasi these are the things or field na makakatulong sa akin to do the reform. Kasi I need to understand further the organization. Parang kailangan umalis ako dun sa sarili ko as an employee lang of an organization or ng isang company.
Mhm.
Ganon. So, kaya naisip ko, para makita ko yung gusto kong equality sa workplace for persons with disabilities, I still need to help myself also in terms of building more skills din sa akin. Kasi isa yun sa nakikita ko din as a practitioner ng HR and as an advocate na dapat when we want to do something, we also need to look at our own skills and we need to look at ourselves. Meron din
Right.
ba tayong sarili nating gaps? Baka meron din tayong kakulangan. Kasi if we do, let's try to find out how we can further develop that and how we can further how we can further hone kung ano man yung kakulangan natin. Kasi with that, mas mapupush natin yung gusto nating inclusion Kasi inclusion is not just knowing na or by saying na, oy, kailangan yung maging inclusive sa amin. Pero when they ask you how,
Yes.
can you actually tell them how to do it? And that's the main reason why I tried my best to develop myself because yung end goal ko nga, 'di ba, reform. So I need to answer that question whether it's a private company or it's a government agency na how are we going to do that? So yun yung sinusubukan ko ngayon sa consultancy ko na ma-address yung how part. Kasi it's always easy to say na, can you just be inclusive?
Right.
'Di ba? So when they answer you back and then they say, oo naman, gusto namin. Sure, pero paano namin gagawin kasi hindi namin alam.
Yeah.
So yung technicalities nun, yun yung dapat din natin malaman. Paano natin siya magagawa? I'm not saying that my field is the best one or the best direction how to go about it, but so far, at this point, it's working. So I guess the area
Effective
of discipline, yeah,
Mhm.
I guess it's effective. The area, I mean, yung area ko or the discipline where I am, I guess it's working. So, yeah, siguro.
Ang ganda nun. Gusto ko yung sinabi mo na parang, di ba, the idea of that advocacy should start with ourselves. Di ba? Parang kami din kasi sa VIFAL, di ba, before namin i-advocate yung about sa identity first language, di ba? Yung about empowering women through, fashion and lifestyle, or through fashion, yan, pag-develop ng confidence. Kailangan mag-start muna sa sarili natin. So,
Exactly.
maganda yon.
True.
But before that, di ba, we kept on talking about inclusive employment. So, on your own definition, pag tinatanong ka, what is, inclusive employment? Ano yung definition na usually binibigay mo sa mga companies?
I'm very glad you asked that question because parang wala pa talagang super standard definition for that, or probably we have different definitions, but for me, professionally and personally speaking, I'd say marami kasing diversity and inclusion programs ngayon sa mga companies. Kumakalat na siya, marami nang nag-a-attempt gumawa. Pero I always tell them whenever I conduct training sa mga companies na D&I, yung diversity and inclusion is different from one another. Kumbaga, diversity is different from inclusion because diversity is technically putting things together na yung mga bagay na yun ay may iba't ibang katangian or characteristics. That's why when you look at them or when you parang glance on it, usually, di ba, nakikita mo iba yung characteristics nila kaya that they look, di ba, look good. Kunyari, person with disability sa classroom and then someone na from non-Muslim and LGBT, di ba, very diverse yung isang class, di ba, pag magkakasama sila. So, that's technically diversity. So, di ba, when you look at the biodiversity underwater, the plants and the fishes come with different sizes and color. They move differently from one another, diba ganon? So, ang ganda niya tignan. So, that's technically diversity. But the deepest or the deeper concept on diversity is inclusion. Kasi, you cannot say that when a group of people is parang magkakasama sila na may diverse background, hindi kasi siya kagad automatically inclusion. Inclusion is the process. Inclusion is the product of meaningful and effective participation in a group or in an organization because of diversity. So if you put them all together, they interact in harmony, of course. They share ideas. They are being listened to, and they're able to provide insights. Nakaka-participate sila from the conceptualization stage up to the design phase hanggang sa monitoring and evaluation of things. Then, kung merong meaningful and effective participation sa bawat step or kung saan man sa office, sa work nila, if they're always heard and their opinions always count, especially sa kanilang performance as an employee, edi, I guess, yun yung mas inclusion. Rather than saying na pag, pinagsama-sama mo lang sila, diversity na yan, tapos inclusion na agad. I don't think it's an equal concept. They work in harmony together, but they are two different concepts altogether.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Meaningful and effective participation ng persons with disabilities. Pinaka-definition, di ba, ng inclusion. And yeah, I agree with you dun sa diversity. Diversity is a tool. It could be a tool or, di ba, that companies could use, especially, di ba, syempre, mga employees ay may kanya-kanyang talents and skills. I'm sure mas expert ka sa akin about this, di ba? Na when a team is diverse, mas maraming nakukuhang perspective. For example, they're working on a project, di ba? The more talents and skills, yung pagkakaiba, yung composition ng team, di ba? The more effective.
And mas successful, actually. That is the benefit of loving and embracing diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Kasi, I don't know, it may sound cliche, pero hindi totoo talaga siya na meron talagang mataas ang success rate mo dyan. Although, it's not really that easy kasi how will you harmonize all the ideas and insights coming in?
That's
to
the
come
challenge.
up with a product to come up with a product or service that is really fully inclusive. Like, I got onboarded to one of projects right now. Hindi ko lang pwedeng sabihin kung ano, pero inclusion din yung role ko dun. And sobrang diverse ng team namin. Hindi lang sa gender. We also have people coming from different religion. So, yung perspective nun, pag pinagsama-sama mo, talagang iba-iba. Sobrang iba-iba. But then, at the end of the day, since yun nga sinasabi natin inclusion, no? Everyone's heard, everybody has active and effective participation. Ang challenge lang dun usually is how do you harmonize the perspectives that are coming in or insights. Pero kahit challenging siya, okay naman.
It's possible. Yeah.
Oo naman, it's very, very possible. But, you really have to listen and make sure that you really consider seriously whatever they are telling you.
True. Kasi, diba, diversity could be either an asset or a liability, diba, in companies. So, pag hindi siya na-manage din ng maayos, yung pag-manage ng team na sobrang merong different types of people. Kasi ang gusto lang din naman kasi natin when it comes to diversity is everyone has their own representation, di ba? May nag-represent sa person with disability, from, yung mga marginalized sectors natin. So, that's always been been the goal of diversity. Okay. So, aside from, di ba, nabanggit na natin yung, yun nga, meaningful and effective participation ng person with disability and the power of diversity, its potential in improving the outputs of, di ba, yung mga teams natin. What do you think are the other important things or parang benefit ng pagkakaroon ng inclusive employment, both, I think, sa side ng person with disability and possible employees, and I guess pwede rin sa part ng employers.
Okay, that's a good question. But I'm just thinking how we can laymanize it. Para hindi mo masyadong technical. Okay. So, siguro unahin natin for the side muna ng employers. For the employer side, number one, di ka madidemanda for discrimination or for whatever.
Right.
For whatever legal stuff it may cause you if you discriminate someone from the marginalized sector. This is not just for persons with disabilities, even for other marginalized group, like nag-discriminate ka ng single mom dahil single mom kasi siya, or nag-discriminate ka ng LGBT, But since the episode right now is really more on person with disabilities, of course din yung pag nag-discriminate ka ng person with disability, it's not a good thing to do, definitely. So, yun, yung mawala yung possibility na mademanda ka. You'll not suffer public ridicule. Siyempre, di natin alam kung anong mangyayari pag may insidente, di ba? So, it might impact your public image as an employer, and that would have a direct impact on your business, most especially with the rate of your consumers or clients availing your service or products. May impact yan sa sales nyo. Magkakaroon ng kasiraan sa hindi lang sa image, pati na din dun sa business nyo overall. So yun, for the employer side. For persons with disabilities, of course, this is leading towards equality na. I mean, itong occurrence na to, when you're employed in a mainstream job environment, when you're working with people, side by side with people or employees without disabilities, this is a clear indicator na napapakita mo na or napepenetrate mo na yung mainstream employment, where nakikita na din ng coworkers mo or fellow employees mo na even if you're a person with disability, you're not a lesser person at all.
Right.
Diba? You're not a lesser person at all. The thing here is you just do things differently. And then at the end of the day, you still deliver the same outcome or similar
Outputs, yeah.
Yeah, it's either you meet the expectations, and most of the time, persons with disabilities go beyond and even deliver more than the expectations. And totoo yun, na that most, I'm not saying all, but most persons with disabilities usually deliver what is expected of them or more than the
Beyond,
expectation.
yeah.
Totoo yan. And kasi syempre, ang usual tendency mo kasi dyan is to take care of your job. Diba?
Kasi mahirap mo siyang, pinaghirapan mong kuhanin yun di ba?
Pinaghirapan mo yun. Lumusot ka, sabihin natin, sa sinasabi nilang karayom just for you to acquire that opportunity, and you're thankful. That's why, diba? Ganun naman eh. And even persons without disabilities, ganun din naman. Kaya lang siguro, iba lang talaga yung level ng drive ng person with disability. And for employees without disabilities who are working with you, side by side in a company or sa government agency man yan, ang benefit nito sa kanila ay, number one, cultural transformation. There will be a transformation about their beliefs on disability. Parang you're changing the way they see disability. I guess that's the best summary or the best way to describe it. Summary ba yun? Pero hindi. That's the best way to describe it, I guess. Na there is a cultural transformation talaga
Mm-mm.
sa kanila. And with that, they would feel also that they are in a safe working environment. Why? Kasi parang they have this vision or image na ang employer ko pala hindi lang pala puro pera ang iniintindi or puro profit. Mahal nila kaming empleyado. And they respect one another no matter what and regardless of who we are. Ganon.
Mm-mm.
So, malaki yung impact niyan. Sometimes it's not monetary, pero malaki ang contribution ng cultural transformation. Because if you would put that into business, or if you will put that into business nga, a highly diverse company is close to success. I mean, you can easily beat your competitor. Kasi remember, pinag-usapan natin kanina with diversity, marami kang nare-reap na benefits dyan at isa na nga yung mga bright ideas na nabibigay ng different representations or different people from different sectors or from different backgrounds. Kung homogeneous ka at hindi ka diversity-loving employer, I don't think you would reap that kind of benefit. And usually, ang mga successful companies na nakakapatumba talaga ng competitor, yung talagang may diversity and inclusion programs.
Mm-mm. Totoo.
Yeah. May challenge, but, that can be addressed naman.
Yeah. Na-overcome naman siya. And speaking of challenges, Krissy, nabanggit mo kanina, earlier dun sa intro natin, first question natin, is that ikaw personally, siguro in a more than a decade of advocating for inclusive employment, isa sa naging challenge mo and nag-drive sa'yo to study further, di ba? Matuto pa sa current field mo, is yung pag tinanong ka ng companies, how can we do it? Kasi kahit naman din, siguro kung tayo nasa shoes ng companies yun, medyo, overwhelming, di ba? It's a bit overwhelming. Una kasi medyo foreign sa kanila yung idea ng inclusivity, ng inclusion. So, aside from dun nga sa pag-answer ng how, what are the challenges na na-encounter mo during this, or with your advocacy, and ano yung nakikita mong, or paano mo siya na-overcome yung challenges na yun?
When I was still applying or sa professional practice ko na?
Siguro a bit of both, pero more of the sa practice na.
Of course, there is a big difference between the time na aplikante ako and your ordinary employee.
Mm-mm.
Siyempre, ang compared now that I am doing consultancy plus it's really a professional practice. So, nung time na employee ako or applicant, ang hirap because it's hard to explain to employers when you're applying pa lang, kapag job seeker ka pa lang, na lagi nilang tanong, paano ka magtatrabaho? Cannot see.
Yeah.
Tapos hindi nila alam ano ang screen reader. Parang nakakapag they usually call it braille computer pa nga.
Right.
Kasi na-associate nila tayo sa braille, which is okay lang naman kasi medyo tatak naman natin or related talaga tayo dyan. Pero medyo nag-mix up yata. Braille computer. So, ang hirap i-explain sa kanila that you are not less of a person. You're not a second-class citizen na parang hindi mo kaya yung trabaho or yung ina-apply mo work. Although, I was very fortunate na makapagtrabaho talaga, no? Especially in the BPO industry. Pero sa mga ibang in-applyan ko, before that and after that, yun talaga yung paulit-ulit kong struggle. And nung employee naman ako, you struggle naman for career development. And this is another story to talk about because I just want to let you know, or our audience, our viewers, na persons with disabilities who are already employed, they are also looking for career advancement, just like any employee.
Right.
If I may emphasize that, it's normal for an employee, or it's very common for an employee to look for greener pasture, for career advancement. But we have to take note also that those employed persons with disabilities are also looking for the same thing to happen in their lives. I mean, I don't think they want to do the same thing over and over again for 10, 20 years. Diba?
Long time.
Like, yeah,
Such a
long time yun na. Grabe. Pero I mean, I like what I said, that's another story to talk about. But minention ko lang siya because akala ba natin yung struggle ng job seeker with disability dun lang sa recruitment or sa hiring side? It's a full cycle of challenges actually. Gahanap ka pa lang ng trabaho, challenge na. Pag nakasungkit ka naman ng trabaho,
another na naman yan.
That's another challenge to face because you're looking at 2 to 3 years na sana mag-promote ako, sana magkaroon ako ng new challenging task. Kasi I'm not just saying this as a professional, but sinabi rin naman to sa mga studies na even persons with disabilities are looking for more challenging tasks at work.
True.
Dahil may mga expertise naman yung kanya-kanya eh. Kung ikaw, as a viewer, na ikaw na nanonood sa amin, ikaw ay walang disability, you're an employee, and naiisip mo sa sarili mo, parang naboboard na ako dito, I'm looking for a more challenging task. I feel you. I feel you. Pero, yun nga, like what I said earlier, ang person with disabilities then are in the same boat as you are, and they're still looking for greener pasture. So, sa professional practice ko naman ngayon, when I'm dealing with organizations or company, when it comes to diversity and inclusion, I guess, ang difference ngayon, I am being listened to. I guess now there's I don't want to use the word authority. Ano ba? I don't know.
Mas credible ka na?
Siguro, mas credible na ako to speak about my advocacy or kasi I have two things on my plate. So I have one for organizational development and HR, and I also have one for disability inclusion, and I always combine them together. So that's why, siguro yun din yung reason why I'm being listened to now compared nung mga time that I was still a job seeker or I was just an employee. Siguro mas yun yung change na nakita ko, and I'm happy that you're listening to me. Not that I'm saying I'm perfect, but it's more on they are now more open to listen, and I don't know, baka generation din yan, no, they are bolder now to take baby steps at least to start diversity and inclusion sa kanilang mga companies. So, I guess yun yung major difference nung dalawang experience ko sa dalawang role na dinaanan ko. Ayun siguro, kaya ganun.
So, napansin ko, by what you said, yung kinuwento mo, parang this boils down to lack of awareness sa side ng employers and co-employees, di ba?
Yeah. Super awareness talaga ang pinakamalaking nakikita ko din and na-experience ko na common issue. Yeah. Hindi tayo maka-get enough of information dissemination, pag-advocate ng disability awareness, di ba? Pagko-conduct ng sensitivity training. Kasi yun nga yung pinaka-major challenge din. Actually, yun, before din, kasi ako din, wala pa akong almost a year pala ako sa current work ko as an IT instructor. And sa pag-advocate din, kasi importante din talaga ako as a person with disability. Lumabas din ako, di ba? I've tried, applying for jobs na hindi usual na ina-apply ng person with disability. Kasi hindi naman natin malalaman. They thought it's not usual. Sa atin, it's usual. For them, it's unusual. Yeah.
True. That's so true. And natuwa naman ako kasi yun nga, I agree with you na kahit papano, though may makita pa rin na resistance sa HR, pero yun nga, mas nakikinig na sila. Pero di ko alam, siguro another topic din yung about sa generation ng mga HR ngayon. Pero yeah, I agree.
Oo nga, no?
Dun sa
generation. Yeah.
Kitang-kita mo din kasi kung ano yung alam ng parang mga HR 10 years ago compared to now. In
Yeah,
fairness
the
naman.
younger, the
Mm.
younger HR. Yeah, of course. Meron naman
Mm.
talagang difference.
Totoo. So, ano naman yung parang mga concrete steps mo doon sa part na yun? Sa ano bang tamang term doon? Kala kong mitigate yung tamang term doon sa lack of awareness. So, ano yung mga parang ginagawa mo on a, siguro, both personal and professional level to combat this?
Sa personal, usually talagang it's really by patiently talking to them and explaining to them. Yun talaga, on a
Mm.
personal level. Kasi everything starts naman with communication. That's why you must feel happy na when an organization is open to listen.
Mm.
Everything starts there. When they agree to listen and agree to
Mm.
communicate with you, yun talaga, doon
Yeah.
magsisimula yung awareness. Kasi pag yan naman naka-block yan, wala, dead end ka talaga. Wala kang
Mm.
makakausap at hindi ka rin kakausapin. So, we should
Yeah.
be happy. Kasi convincing is another thing.
Mm. Mm.
'Diba? Communicating is one thing, convincing is another thing. Convincing in a way na you should be able to parang help them understand what is disability inclusion all about, what persons with disabilities can do or their abilities to compete with their peers, mga ganon. Since ganun lang yung magagawa ko personal, I guess mas marami akong magagawa or nagagawa sa area ng professional practice. Kasi sa area ng professional practice, we do organizational diagnosis. And when we do that, we try to find out ano yung gaps nila when it comes to disability inclusion or diversity and inclusion, mga ganon. And after
Mm.
the diagnosis, that's the time we analyze asan yung gaps. And then after that, we try, talagang very technical siya, the way we do
Mm.
it. And then,
Yeah.
very, kumbaga, I hope this is not super jargon naman to, well, baka nga jargon, yung tinatawag na organizational development. It's a discipline na kung saan nandun yung area ng practice namin, ako tsaka na iba pang inclusion consultants, na tinitignan talaga namin yung organization as a whole. Gaps sa, let's say, process, policy, sa culture, and process. Yan. So, tinitignan namin lahat yan, and we try to find out kung ano yung gaps, and after that, we propose solution. And isa na nga dyan yung cultural transformation. Sa OD kasi, or organizational development, part of our practice or part of the things we do sa isang tinatawag na total change or when you introduce change management in the business, isa dyan yung cultural transformation. And doon papasok yung awareness raising. Whether by department mo gagawin yan or as a whole, mga
Mm.
ganon. So, mga technicalities na yun ng gawain na yun. Pero, doon siya pumapasok yung massive and deep awareness raising. Pumapasok yun sa mga cultural transformation programs na ginagawa namin under OD or organizational development. And malaki yung impact niya kasi once na napasok mo yun, nagawa natin ng tama yun, you know what's next? Ang susunod na dyan, mag-straighten up na yung policies,
Mm.
process, and systems. Maintindihan na nila yung relevance ng, kaya pala importante na yung policies pala natin, internal policies and guidelines natin sa office ay inclusive kasi ganito. Ay, yung process pala natin, importante na gawin natin inclusive kasi ganito yan. Yung systems na binibili natin or pinapagamit natin sa employees, kailangan pala accessible siya for all or usable for all.
Mm.
So, sila yung second set ng beneficiaries once you have culturally transformed the organization. Kaya malaki ang impact, in my opinion,
Mm.
ng practice ng organizational development. Kasi meron siyang holistic lens kung paano pwedeng ma-transform yung isang organization and business to become fully inclusive.
Yes. Thank you for that, Krissy. Very comprehensive yon and dami ko natutunan. Organizational development. So, thank you for taking us through the process. Kasi yun din, hindi din ako personally, hindi ako aware sa ganyang process ng HR where you're dealing more of the data, di ba? Kasi naman talagang gusto ding makita ng mga companies eh.
Of course, yeah. Oo, hindi ko lang siguro na-mention, but definitely, punong-puno kami ng data dyan. Magsasawa ka sa data. Hindi lang yan data ng pagko-collect. Sino ba ang may person with disability dito sa company na to? Parang hindi lang yun eh. Kasi we still review the process, we still review the documents, and so, thorough review talaga siya ng kaluluwa ng kumpanya. If I may use the kaluluwa term. Yeah.
Okay. So, ano naman sa tingin mo yung pwede pang magawa perhaps ng community or perhaps pwede siguro ng government and also private companies to help in achieving inclusive employment? And siguro, ano din, ano yung pwede mo maging message to them, how they can start? Kasi yun nga, ang pinaka big takeaway ko din dito personally is that, diversity and inclusion is not just words, di ba? It's a practice, it's a mindset. So, how they can start, what they can do, ano yung pwede nilang gawin?
Ako din, gusto ko yung mention mo na it's practice and mindset at the same time. If you have the right mindset, lagay mo na sa practice para hindi masayang. 'Di ba? Mas maganda 'yon. Pangit naman kung mindset lang siya pero hindi naman na puput into practice. So tama yung sinabi ni Bev. I agree na when you have the right mindset, put it into practice. So for the community, advocates, ganyan, my advice is continue developing yourselves. You have to know other things apart from disability inclusion. Kasi marami tayong advocates na talagang, masasabi natin super galing talaga sa disability inclusion.
Right.
Lalo na kabisado na yung rights, mapa-local or international. Tama yan. But I guess ako, personally and professionally speaking, I would also advise that our community and advocates would also pursue other line of discipline para mas technical yung approach natin in making sure that inclusion can be institutionalized in the organization. Kasi po, based din sa aking experience, all throughout the years, mahirap mag-expect ng full inclusion na nagtatagal, yung sustainable and long term, if we only base it in personality. Meaning, may nag-champion ng inclusion sa company, okay naman yun. Hindi naman siya masama na may nag-start na, inclusion. Pero kung ang advocacy kasi natin or yung parang pag-push natin ng inclusion is based on the person lang or the personality that's sponsoring the change or sponsoring inclusion in an organization, it's not sustainable and it's not good for long term. Pwede siyang starter pero hindi siya good for long term. Bakit? There are 3 R's that's happening to that person. Number 1, when they retire, you'll start inclusion all over again. Kasi this person is the one pushing for inclusion. It's not part of every employee's mindset. It's not part of HR's mindset. Talagang siningle out yung HR, yung mga kabarok. Siyempre, malaki po ang role natin dito. Sobrang laki, promise. And then, second R would be resign. When they resign, you're gonna start inclusion again from scratch. Wala na siya eh. Wala na yung change sponsor mo. Wala na yung sponsor mo for inclusion eh. Wala na yung champion mo, nag-resign. Another is relocated or reassigned. Kung ma-relocate ng branch yan, ma-relocate ng region, or kung saan man siya mapunta, may iwan ka kung saan siya nagsimula ng inclusion. That's why it's very important that it's not personality-based. It should be institutionalized in the organization. Kaya nga, I was advising sana, or I'm suggesting na yung advocates natin go for further development. Develop yourself further at alamin mo pa yung ibang discipline na pwede ka ring maging master. Dahil na-master mo naman yung disability inclusion and rights eh. So I'm pretty sure you can also master other area. Bakit? Mas mako-combine mo yung dalawang force na yun para mas maging effective yung change na gusto mong ibigay sa isang organization or community kung gusto mo talagang mag-sponsor ng reform. or ng pagbabago. Like, kunyari, batas, no? Baka meron dyan na gusto mag-lawyer. Tapos mag-specialize ka on disability rights. 'Di ba? I have a friend doing that right now. And I'm hoping for the best para sa kanya dahil dalawang track yung ginagawa niya ngayon. Law, and at the same time, nagpapakadalubhasa rin siya on disability inclusion.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So, yun, no? Meron siyang isang track, law yun. Tapos yung isa, disability inclusion. So, pag pinagsama niya yun, I can imagine na mas marami nang magkakaroon siguro ng hustisya sa mga kaso ng persons with disabilities ng discrimination at kung ano-ano pa, no? We can't wait to have you on board,
Yeah.
my friend.
Baka
my
ma-interview
friend.
namin yan in the future. Kasi
Ay,
naman siya.
mahiyain kasi. Kaya tanggalin ko muna yung hiya.
Oo, sige. Binigyan mo muna,
ikaw.
Krissy.
Iko-convince ko muna. Ewan ko ba. Pero, ay nako, bro, we're all with you. Sige, tuloy mo lang yan.
Go po.
Tapos, go talaga yan. Tapos, sa ano naman, employers, ang advice ko is, siguro, be open lang talaga. Everything starts from being open. And, isa pa, alam nyo naman, yan na ang trend ngayon sa mundo. It's not just a trend, but look at the memos or directives ng headquarters, ng HQ nyo. 'Di ba? Karamihan ngayon, ang directive na ng HQ magkaroon ng diversity and inclusion program sa office. Kasi nga, hindi lang naman yan talaga para makaiwas sa litigation. You know, it's not always about legal compliance. Mas malalim pa po ang gustong mangyari ng inyong company kung bakit may directive na sila na institutionalize na talaga kayo ng diversity and inclusion program. Kasi nga, marami ng studies ang nagsasabi na malaking-malaki ang nabe-benefit ng organization sa fully diverse and inclusive workplace or employer. I guess ganun din naman yung yan, kasi employer yan, no? So I am pertaining to private employers or organization. Same advice for the government agencies. But I guess ang only difference is mas malaki ang pressure sa inyo for you to really do this and become fully inclusive. Kasi it is a moral obligation to your citizens. Diba?
Right.
And you are actually the entity that's setting the standards. You are the entity that's making the law and implementing the law. And remember, ang definition ng government, 'di ba? Government is of the people and for the people. So how can it be, or how can you be for the people and of the people if the policies and programs you develop are not fully inclusive for all citizens, 'di ba? So medyo mas mabigat talaga ang pressure sa government kasi yun nga, it's a moral obligation to its citizen. Because you are serving your citizens, and part of your service is to make sure that your service is fully inclusive. So, and you are the standards that the private sector is following. So, I guess mas ganun yung tahi niya. Kaya ganun din. If you're from a government agency, be open to learn about inclusion kasi talagang it will start from opening the communication lines. And remember, you have Prime HRM. Sa government kasi natin, merong pang-assess kung ano yung maturity level ng agencies natin. Yung in terms of how they manage their organization or the agency. Nakikita yon sa Prime HRM, yung program to institutionalize meritocracy and excellence in human resource management. Kaya siya tinawag na Prime. Yun yung ibig sabihin. So, may lens yung tool na yun para makita kung fully inclusive din yung agency natin. Kaya, makakatulong kami sa inyo, even VIFAL, if, yun nga, you'd be open to listen.
Right.
Ayan.
Ayan, Krissy, thank you sa advice mo on our employers and government agencies on how they can further promote and practice inclusive employment. So how about your advice naman to our person with disability na job seekers?
For job seekers, huwag titigil. Talagang go, go, go. Mag-apply pa rin po tayo kahit na nare-reject tayo. Kasi, ganun po kasi talaga eh. If we stop looking for a job and if we stop because na-reject na tayo, all the more that you decrease the chance of winning. 'Di ba? Parang loto 'yan eh. More chances of winning pag marami kang taya. And yung bawat pag-a-apply mo as a job seeker, it's always a taya. So, taya lang ng taya, mga friends. Mahirap. I should be or I should know dahil pinagdaanan ko naman yan dati. Mas matindi pa nga kasi hindi pa highly digital ang mga bagay-bagay before. So, kumbaga I don't wanna compare naman dahil iba yung ngayon at dati. Pero, wag lang po tayo titigil. Kumbaga, winners never quit and quitters never win. So, always bear that in mind. And sa mga employees naman na persons with disabilities, lalo na yung mga bagong hire, may mga performance indicators or targets na binibigay talaga po sa employees. Siguro, wag po tayo magrereklamo agad sa mga targets na yon. Kasi, siguro the best way is to find kung paano mo magamay yung trabaho para ma-meet mo yung targets. It's not always na pag hindi ka comfortable dun sa targets, parang ayawan mo na siya kagad. Try to find ways as to how you can keep up with the expectations. Kumbaga, ano talaga yan? Yan yung ma-advise ko. Kasi, walang trabahong walang target. Talagang ganun siya. Meron talaga siyang may target na nilalatag na dapat nating abutin or i-achieve sa trabaho. Not unless it's very unreasonable, pero most of the time naman it's reasonable. It's a challenge for us to achieve that, and that is expectations. Yun yung sinasabi natin kanina earlier sa discussion, Bev, na nade-deliver naman ni person with disability na may meet yung expectations or even going beyond expectations. So, para dun sa mga employees na natin na person with disability, please study your job well. And study your targets. Huwag agad iiyak. Huwag agad parang mambabarangay ka na ba agad? Di ba? Huwag ganun. Yeah. Study your job well.
Yes. That's a great point then yung i-equip natin yung sarili natin as employees, di ba? To further improve our skills. Yan nga. Hindi talaga yan nawawala. Yung key performance indicator.
Oo, hindi yan mawawala. Andyan yan pala.
Especially
share natin yan as an employee, diba? Hindi naman pwedeng lahat na lang ng sisi, lahat ng blame, lahat na lang ng kamalian, puro na lang natin ituturo yung employer. To be fair, to be fair naman with our employers, they are trying their best to really do it and serve their employees naman. Pero tayong employee, we have to give our share din naman fairly sa kanila. Magtrabaho po tayo ng maayos, ganyan. Try to meet the expectation and everything. Yan. Tama si Beb doon.
True. Ayan. So, kahit advice natin, very holistic din on the side of the employers and on the side din ng mga job seekers natin and current employees natin na person with disability. So, this has really been a fun and educational. Yan. I hope na marami natutunan ating mga viewers kasi sobrang dami ko natutunan during this
I do hope meron. May nauwi sila.
I'm sure. Madami-dami yan. I hope nag-take down notes kayo. May pa-take down notes.
I hope may pa-take down notes. Very professor ka talaga.
Ayan. So again, thank you so much for giving us your time and expertise, Krissy. Sobrang, yun nga, like what I've said, sobrang dami kong natutunan and I'm sure yung mga viewers din natin ay sobrang daming natutunan. And yun din ang aim natin for this enabling Masterplan special to emphasize the importance of inclusive employment. And yun nga, team effort. Yan, hindi lang siya sa employer side, kundi sa employee. Team, we're always a team here.
Team inclusion tayo. Lahat tayo may gagawin. Ayan. Thank you so much, VIFAL family.
Ayan. Thank you, Krissy. Before we go, baka may gusto kang promote or something sa channel mo, nabanggit natin kanina sa intro.
Oo nga pala. Thank you for reminding me. So, Guys, I am also like VIFAL. I also own a channel that's Brown Bags TV. So, yun, Brown Dash Bags TV if you will type it sa YouTube. So, yung channel ko is about, of course, HR matters, employment, diversity and inclusion, halo-halo. And I also have a separate series under the same channel, which is about lifestyle naman, travel, although local travel pa lang naman ngayon kasi nga mahirap lumabas. But, yeah. So, it's basically parang halo-halo naman siya. Mixed content. It's except na meron akong focused series on HR. Of course, that's my work.
Right.
And I want you to know ano ba ang buhay namin sa HR, anong meron sa amin, and etc. So, please visit my channel. And of course, panoorin nyo rin and mag-subscribe din kayo kay VIFAL if you haven't. Yan.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Krissy, sa uulitin.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. We promote the ASEAN Enabling Masterplan 2025.
Together, let's make true inclusivity a reality.
Now na.
This has been the VIFAL podcast. For more updates, please follow our socials. Facebook.com/VIFALPH, Twitter.com/VIFALPH, and YouTube.com/VIFALPH. Till the next episode.